In 1681, the land around Glen Mills was granted to William Penn. There were several mills here, including the Newlin Grist Mill, which was built in 1704 and is the only lasting mill in Glen Mills.
Today it is a popular destination for recreation purposes and history buffs.
I'm just checking to see if the Newlins are home. You know, Nicholas Newlin built this place.
It was built in 1704. And the Newlin family until 1817. It operated commercially until 1941. And then it was purchased by E. Mortimer Newlin in 1958.
What's the significance of this place?
It's an important historical site because it showed that the people back then were self-sufficient and produced their own goods, including wheat, corn, and flour. This house is beautiful. Whose house is this? This is Ruby Field's house. She was the first executive director of the Grist Mill. So, tell us a little bit more about the Grist Mill. Grist mills began in Europe as water-powered flour mills. Their popularity increased through much of the 11th century. The mills could be powered by either wind or water, however water was more common. They grind grain.
The Newlin family emigrated to Pennsylvania due to religious persecution. Nathaniel, the son, built the mill, making the third grist mill in the township. Nathaniel, the grandson, built a house for the head miller. Southeastern Pennsylvania was the leading producer of grain and were able to be easily powered by the fall lines in the area. Newlin Grist Mill only served domestic needs and was a country mill and not a merchant mill, which meant that they were self-sufficient and they produced for themselves. And it served to produce flour, corn, and wheat. This is the site of the grist mill where they produce their own crops.
The current blacksmith shop is a replica of the 18th century blacksmith shop. It was an essential part of the colonial industry and very important to Newlin.
This is the railroad of Markham Station, which also served as a post office during the 1850s. Both the railroad and the post office served as important means of communication during that time and helped with the movement of goods and mail. This was part of the transportation boom, which occurred mainly in Northern America. In 1739, Nathaniel Newlin III built a stone house for the miller, adjacent to the mill. The house consists of 2 rooms upstairs and 2 rooms downstairs, with a fireplace in each and a beehive oven outside the kitchen fireplace.
A third story and rear addition were added around 1860. The top floor was removed when the house was restored in the 1960s.
The Newlin Grist Mill was a country mill that grinded grain for local farms and sometimes for sale in Philadelphia. The Newlin Grist Mill later owned a store and was a land speculator. The mill played a role in the Revolution. Washington didn't want mills grinding flour for the enemy. Show the enemy.
The British.
The Newlin family was a religious society of Friends, and it was strongly frowned upon to take part in war. So they were being torn in the Revolution to supply the hungry British for food or to cut everyone off. The grist mill was right on the edge of the Brandywine battlefield. Oh, I shouldn't do that.
The water-powered grist mill is 35 feet wide by 70 feet long.
Water exits underground through the tail race and goes back to Chester Creek.
What's your point?
Well, just like other families in the area, the Newlin family was able to produce for themselves and they were self-sufficient. They didn't provide for market needs to sell or anything, but they provided for their own domestic needs.
In loving memory of E. Mortimer Newlin, who had the imagination and industry to set aside these historic buildings and this open land for all to enjoy.
What's a grist mill?
What am I doing?
Nice movie field.
Wow, this house is so beautiful. Whose house is this? I'm sorry. She's doing it. What am I saying? By who?
Well, the Newlin family.
That was a.
So, Aaron. Wait, stop.
That's a wrap.
Stop, Maddie.